Hi everyone, it's Dr. Makiba here, and today I am going to talk about helping your child to develop time management. I'm going to give you 3 ways to help your child develop time management. So the reason why this is something that I wanted to talk about today was because I wanted to really hone in on the need for consistency when it comes to children being able to function academically. Okay, so it's my belief that in order for a child to function socially, academically, and behaviorally, they need to have consistency embedded in their everyday schedule. So as you know, I am one of those educators, always have been, who doesn't just focus on the academic need. I always focus on social and behavior. And the reason why, I was just talking today, but the reason why this is important is because when your child gets older, and I don't care if we're talking about elementary, middle, or high school students, when your child moves into the job market, nowadays, employers are not necessarily looking for people who hold a high level of skill. Employers are looking for, not children, employers are looking for candidates who have a high level of emotional and social intelligence. And so that means that if there is a lack of skill, that skill can be taught. But emotional intelligence and social intelligence cannot be taught. That is something, or not be taught when you're in the workplace. That is something, however, that can be taught as a child is being brought up. So that's what I want to talk about today in terms of helping them develop time management and consistency. So the first thing I want to say is create a built-in schedule that can be followed every single morning and make it as consistent as possible. So the reason this is important is because, you want to get started with this at the early stages. So you want to get started with this in the elementary stages, and you want to allow it to become a systematic structures that allows a child to realize this from elementary school all the way up until high school or beyond. So you want to make sure that you are creating a consistent schedule for your child. If it's one thing that I have learned as an educator, it is that kids need consistency and they appreciate consistency. Don't let it fool you. Kids appreciate consistency. When they get used to a schedule, they know, oh my gosh, I gotta focus because this is when we do this. So in school, everything is based off of a schedule. Kids know that they need to go to this class at this time, and they're gonna be in this class for this amount of time, and they need to make sure that they're functioning in this mindset for this amount of time. When they're testing, they know that there is a schedule they have to follow. They know that there is a time frame that they have to follow. So that is why I know when I was a teacher, I had to make sure that I was timing my students so that they can get into the mindset of operating within a certain schedule, within a certain time frame. So creating a schedule, a built-in schedule, consistently, and consistently is the key. You have to make sure that there's consistency built into their lives, okay? Number 2, establish a set time of the evening to complete homework practice. So notice I didn't say homework. I like to say homework practice because it's important for you to use the right verbiage when you're talking to children, whether it's, again, elementary, middle school, or high school. Practice. Homework is only designed to be practiced, especially in the earlier times, the elementary times. Homework is really supposed to allow a child to really get better at something. And then that allows a teacher to see exactly where the child may have gaps or holes and what they need to focus on in terms of getting better. As they get older, middle school and then high school, homework becomes something that is grade related. So you may have a paper, you may have a research paper, you may have research you have to do, you may have a project that you have to do that's now associated with homework. But the key is at the early ages, at the onset of going to school and developing these patterns, you want to make sure that you create a specific time every single night, and might I add, a specific space every single night that a child has to do homework. Why is this important? Because everything is emotionally connected. Everything is mentally connected. It's all a tie. So I'm in my office right now. I know that when I come to my office and I sit down at my desk, it's time to work. I know that if I come to my office and I sit down at my desk at a certain time, it's time to work. When I sit down at my desk, I don't necessarily think that it's time to get on the phone and talk. I don't think it's time to play. I don't think it's time to do anything other than what I sit down at my desk to do. That's something that if I practice on a regular and reoccurring basis, my mind is going to adjust and produce accordingly. The same thing is with your child. You want to make sure that there is an established and set time. I know schedules are different, and I know that depending on your household design, you may not be able to have the same set time every night, but hopefully you are able to implement a specific time and place where your child can focus on their homework and their mind can begin to function accordingly. So go ahead and make sure that you do that. Again, remember that when your child is in school, they have to follow a daily schedule. There is a routine that they have to follow at school. So if at all possible, you want to continue something that I like to call structured continuity. Firm believer in structured continuity. That means that whatever they are doing at school needs to roll over into what they're doing at home. That's called a structured continuum, and that will allow a child to operate accordingly, and there won't be many gaps in how they function behaviorally, how they function socially, or anything like that. The third and final tip that I want to give you is to help kids understand the importance of prioritization. Everyone today operates with a certain type of prioritization. Whatever is important to you is what you're going to put your time, energy, and effort into. We all, even as adults, operate into a form of busyness. There's something that we're always doing. The same is true with children. There's something that they can always be doing. Busyness. What's even more interesting is that when kids operate the busyness, they tend to, let me try to put this right, when they operate in that form of business, they tend to do things that are not important in their business. And importance is relative, so whatever is important to them may not necessarily be important to you. So what I would suggest you do is I would allow them to prioritize even with their little activities. So it doesn't necessarily have to start with a prioritization of what's important to you. It can be a prioritization of what's important to them, and then converge what's important to you and what's important to them, and then create a structured set of priorities for them. The key is that you want organization to rule, and you want them to prioritize what is important. After a while of continuing to do this, your child will then learn, this isn't so important. Maybe I don't need to put a lot of time into doing this. Eventually, with the power that you hold, you can then get your child to focus more of their priority on things that are important, such as schooling, chores, goal setting, sports, whatever it is that's important to you guys as a family unit. You can now teach your child how to prioritize. This is important. Again, create a built-in schedule that can be followed every single morning. I would add every single evening as well. Establish a set time of the evening to complete homework practice. Help kids to understand the importance of prioritization. Okay? And then when we talk about the homework part, always ask your child for their opinion, or ask them if you can give them your opinion. It goes a little bit better when you do that instead of, hey, come here, let me check your homework, because immediately that holds a negative connotation and they're going to think that you want to tell them that they're doing something wrong. So just call them and say, hey, can I give you my opinion on what you're doing for your homework and see what I can learn? That's kind of how you do it. Remember, with kids, it's all about how you communicate with them and how you converse with them, because they are sensitive beings. All right, I hope this was helpful for you. And again, we're talking about 3 ways to help your child develop time management. I wrote a blog post on this. If you want to go over to my website, it's www.e-es.co. Hit on the blog tab and you will see all of my blog posts that I have done and learn more about what I do. Thank you so much. And again, this is Dr. Butler and I am out.